Hi there, how are you? I'm Carlo and I'm here to talk about the basic principles of public speaking. I will teach you the steps in speech preparation. Giving a research presentation is very much like giving a report assigned by your teacher. Whether it's about your research findings or just about anything under the sun, you would just have to follow the 7 very easy steps and you would be fine. Number 1, choose the right topic. Number 2, gather the materials for your speech. Or should I say gather the most appropriate materials for your speech. Number 3, make the outline. And then develop the body. Make the introduction, make the conclusion, and finally, rehearse. So let's start with the first step, choose the right topic. Your research background, methodology, and findings are presumably long, and this is the reason you have to specifically pinpoint or specifically select your topic. Would you like to present only the first objective and its findings, or only the second objective, or both? You decide on that, and then start working. When you choose the right topic, it is also important that you consider your audience, as public speaking is always audience-centered. You always take into account your listeners and their interests. Also, you have to consider the situation or the occasion, as this one determines whether or not your topic is appropriate. Generally, there are 3 aims, or there are 3 ends in public speaking: to inform, to persuade, and to entertain. Since you are going to present a research study, I assume your purpose would be to inform. Speeches to inform are very important, as these speeches help us understand certain processes, certain techniques, or help us appreciate certain items of information. When giving a speech to inform, it is important to focus on the items of information that you are going to convey or share. However, it is not advisable that you bombard your audience with so many figures and statistical data. Although these could help you strengthen your arguments, you have to keep in mind that the same may bore your audience. So, what are you supposed to do? Present these hard facts using simple words and terms. And as you select your specific topic, take note that public speaking is audience-centered. So, we're done with the first step, the hardest step, choosing the right topic. Let's move on to the second step, gathering the most appropriate materials for your speech. Since your purpose and topic are predetermined, meaning you formulate and construct these way before the actual speaking event, it is easier for you to gather the materials that you need or that you would need for your presentation. There are different materials which you may choose from. Some materials are printed. For example, your literature review coming from journal articles and books. Some materials are not printed. For example, online data. Now, when you use online data or internet materials, it is crucial that you choose the websites that you are going to use or that you are going to quote. As much as possible, use academic web pages. Let's have a recap. First step, choose the right topic. Second step, gather the materials for your speech. Third step, make the outline. When you start preparing for your presentation, you're not supposed to start with the introduction. Make the outline first. Take note, I said outline. I didn't say write the entire speech, read it, memorize it, and then present it. It doesn't work that way, because if you, for example, forget the first line or a couple of lines, chances are your performance would be a total disaster. So just make the outline and do not write the entire speech. As you start working on the outline, you have to phrase the statement. The statement is the central idea of your speech. This is the thesis. All the other arguments included in your speech should revolve around your statement. After you formulate the statement, work on the main points, and then the subpoints, and finally, the supporting materials. Again, first step, choose the right topic. Second step, gather the materials for your speech. Third step, make the outline. Now, the fourth step is about the body of the speech. After you make the outline and after you shape the speech, this is the right time to develop the body. How are you supposed to develop it? There are 2 ways, or should I say there are 2 areas. Number 1, you may use verbal supporting materials. What are verbal supporting materials? For example, anecdotes, stories, or even interviews, testimonies, and so on. These are verbal supporting materials. It would also help if you would include or if you would use audio-visual materials. For example, video clips, charts, pictures, tables, etc. All these would amplify the body of your speech and would highlight the point you are trying to make. Now, the next step is After the body, you may now make the introduction. So making the introduction is the fifth step. It's not the first step. The introduction has two parts, the attention step and the clarification step. The attention step, from the word attention, aims to catch the attention of your listeners. How are you supposed to catch the attention of your listeners? There are so many ways. You may start with a quotation. You may even ask a question and then answer it towards the end of your speech. You decide on that. Your call, your choice. After the attention step, you deliver the clarification step. This one clarifies the purpose of your speech. So you have to answer this question. Why are you standing in front of your audience? What message would you like to convey? What is your main purpose? So now you're done with the introduction. Make the conclusion. The conclusion is very important because this is your last chance to create some sort of impact. This is also your chance to summarize your major points and, if possible, convince your audience. So don't just summarize your points. Make an impact. Before we move on to the last step, let's have a recap first. Again, what is the first step? Choosing the right topic. Number 2, gathering the materials for your speech. Number 3, making the outline. Number 4, developing the body. Number 5, making the introduction. Number 6, making the conclusion. After all these, you may start rehearsing. Practice, but do not over-practice. Do not practice hand gestures or facial expressions. They should come very naturally. Many people, when they step on stage, they experience what we call stage fright or communication apprehension, speech anxiety, stage anxiety, whatever you want to call it. Some scholars believe that the term stage fright is a misnomer. What does that mean? It's not accurate. Why? Because you don't have to step on stage or you don't have to be on stage to experience communication apprehension. You experience stage fright or speech anxiety or communication apprehension when your performance is important and the outcome of your performance is uncertain. So in public speaking situations, you experience communication apprehension. What are the ways to manage communication apprehension? You can't overcome speech anxiety. You can just manage it and use it to your advantage. Number 1, you have to understand the fact that communication apprehension is normal. Everybody experiences it. Even the greatest speakers still experience communication apprehension. It is something that is within us, I would say. And scholars believe that it is not just normal, but more importantly, essential in any communication transaction. Meaning, you have to experience it. You have to feel it. And accepting it is the first step to manage communication apprehension. Second step, or second way, is that you employ bodily action or movement. Why? Because communication apprehension is energy. If it's energy, you have to release it. So feel free to move on stage. Move, but not too much, and move only on purpose. Number 3, develop the right attitude towards or about your listeners. Always remember this. Your listeners are here or are there because in one way or the other, they want to listen to what you have to say. They're interested in your topic. They want to know more. So develop the right and the positive attitudes towards or about your listeners. And finally, prepare. Prepare thoroughly for your speaking assignment. Practice is the key. Preparation is the key. So if this topic is assigned to you, take time. Take time to prepare, take time to rehearse, and you should be good. Here are other tips to make your presentation even more appealing and more effective. Number 1, always establish eye contact, as this one signals your sincerity. However, you have to keep in mind that establishing eye contact and staring at your audience are two different things. Establish eye contact, but never stare at your audience. Number 2, don't rehearse your movement. Don't rehearse your hand gestures. Let your body move naturally during the actual speaking event. Number 3, employ hand gestures and facial expressions. Number 4, avoid comfort gestures. What are comfort gestures? For example, this one, or when you touch this part of your face very often. These are comfort gestures, and these gestures irritate your audience, so try avoiding them. Next, avoid withdrawal behaviors. What are withdrawal behaviors? I know you have experienced this before. When you look at the ceiling, for example, instead of looking at your audience, or when you look at the floor instead of establishing eye contact, these are withdrawal behaviors. We call these actions withdrawal behaviors because you literally withdraw from the situation at hand, or you detach yourself from the communication transaction or from the communicative act. So try to avoid withdrawal behaviors. Also, use effective visual aids. If you are going to use PowerPoint, remember the rule of thumb. 6 to 7 words per line, 6 to 7 lines per slide. You're not supposed to paste paragraphs and then read these paragraphs as you deliver your presentation. When you give a speech, face your audience. Don't face the screen, all right? And finally, when you're about to give your speech, remember that your performance starts not when you step on stage. Your performance starts the moment your audience sees you. When you face your audience, embrace the spotlight. Enjoy every moment of it. Savor every second. And love the attention. Since you are going to deliver a research presentation, what are the things that you need to include? I suggest you include the following. Number 1, the background of your research. Number 2, the objectives. Number 3, the hypotheses, if you had any, and then the methodology, then findings, and then the conclusions and implications, and of course, the recommendations. So now you know the basic principles of public speaking, you know what to do. So, break a leg.